Hello, my name is Adam Wasser from Brooklyn, New York. I'm against sanctions upon Russia because of Ukraine. The Ukrainian people in the Crimea have voted 90% that they wish to be a part of Russia. Eastern Ukraine wants to be a part of Russia. The question is why? Recently, in 1989, Ukraine became a nation separate from Russia. They always looked at themselves as part of Russia, but Ukrainian. But as time went on, more of Ukrainian nationalism grew, more in the 2000s. And this nationalism grew into the idea that the European Union was the best way for Ukraine to go, but they had always been a part of Russia. Everything was, economically with Russia, so how could they leave? But then you had a revolution in Ukraine several months ago where these people overtook the government and made their own government and decided that we are not going to be a part of Russia, we're going to join Europe. The Russians, under Putin, decided that, something, half of Ukraine does not want this. Half of Ukraine identifies themselves as Russian and they want to be a part of Russia. They have the right to have a choice. They have the right to make a decision for themselves in this huge change of Ukrainian identity, Ukrainian politics. Now, we as Americans, once upon a time had the same issue. Once upon a time in the 1700s, 1775, we also dilemmaed. We wanted to be a part of Britain. Part of us wanted to be a part of Britain. A large part of us wanted to be independent, and we did fight over this. The American Revolution was not just a war between Britain and America. It was also a war between Americans who wanted to be British and wanted to be American. So we should identify with this situation. But here we are saying, no, we cannot allow Ukraine to be separate. We must put embargoes on Russia and stop them from annexing parts of this Ukraine that exists. For what? This is absurd. And another part of this is that, do we want a third world war? In 1914, an assassin, a Serbian assassin, assassinated the nephew of the king of Hungary in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And that sparked, the Germans said we have to come to the Hungarians' protection. The Russians said we have to come to the protection of the Serbians. You had a First World War that broke out. Is that what we're looking for over Ukraine? A country that is known for persecution of Jews, persecution of gypsies, persecution of blacks? Ukraine has a reputation of being a nation that is very racist towards people that are not Ukrainian. Now, I'm no fan of the Russians, I'm no fan of Putin, but I understand Putin's dilemma here, where you have a large body of a nation that's saying, we don't want this, we want to be a part of you. We as Americans, we as Europeans should be understanding in this idea that you have people that want to be of this identity. What is democracy? Democracy is identity. Identity and the right to vote and have elections to have representation of the individual. The individual, in this case, are Russians that live in Ukraine that want representation by Russia, that want to be identified by Russia. To go against their wishes is to go against democracy and to go into the identity of imperialism, into the idea that you are the big boy, you make the decisions, and everybody else has to do what you want. The bully on the block. America should not be the bully on the block, and the Europeans, who are they to say anything about this issue, because they themselves have a history of annexing parts of German language into their own nation, and France doing the same. Britain controls Northern Ireland, controls Scotland. Scotland and Northern Ireland do not want to be a part of Britain, and yet Britain does everything they can to control them into their United Kingdom. This also brings up the issue of, well, if we are imposing these embargoes, if we support these embargoes, then therefore we don't support the idea that Israel has the right to control lands that are beneficial to the Jewish people and are security issues that we must control. If we say that Russia is wrong, then we are saying that the Israelis are wrong, and that in turn the Israelis have no right over Jewish settlements. This is a whole collage of issues that how you stand is not only on this one issue, but it is a broad idea of where you stand on world issues, because Ukraine is not an exception. There are a lot of countries that have the similar issue. Don't forget Poland. A large part of Poland is German. A large part of Ukraine is Polish. If these people want to be a part of, in Poland, they want to be a part, the parts of Poland that are German, if they want to be a part of Germany, are we to say that that's impossible? They can never do this? Are we to say that the people in Poland that live, the people that are Polish in Ukraine can never be a part of Poland? Now we're forcing people to do our will as a global identity, and that is undemocratic. In Israel, we have Israelis that are living with people that want to kill them on their doorstep. And Israel is forced to control the West Bank, Gaza, and even the Golan Heights to protect themselves. And they live in an identity of, if we don't control these areas, then we are at threat for our own lives. And they have to control these regions to protect themselves against those that wish to kill them. So this is different, but at the same time it relates to the idea that a nation has the right to protect itself against a threat. I'm against embargoes on Russia, not because I'm pro-Russian, but because it is morally wrong, and in the greater respect of nations and people's identity, it is wrong. God bless everyone. And may we find a resolution that is without war and in a peaceful manner that respects the people of Ukraine's wishes, the Russians, Ukrainians, and the Polish people that live in Ukraine. Let them make a decision. Individuals, like Iraq. Iraq should not be one nation. You have Shiites, Sunnis, and Kurds all living in this nation. They don't want to be a part of one another. They're killing one another, and we keep them as one nation. For what? Because after World War I, we made the nation of Iraq. The nation of Iraq was created by Europeans because they wanted to make it one big thing. But in fact, it's actually three big things: Sunnis, Shiites, and Kurds. And they have the right to divide themselves. And we prevent them from this. Turkey prevents Kurdistan from being in existence because they're afraid of their eastern front. We are the bad guys because we are preventing people from making their own decision in the idea that democracy is for the individual. Instead, we are saying, on the bigger picture, we want you to be one nation. For our own benefit, not for you, but for our benefit. God bless and take care. Amen.